and welcome to Grailtest number 4. Being a real wizard, as I am, I spend a lot of time messing around on the astral plane and time travelling, which ultimately means I don't really know how long anything is, or something like that, and it's obviously going to take several more episodes to get this farm up and running. Also, the observant amongst you will have noticed that I can't actually tell my left from my right, which gives me terrible trouble in magical circles, as you can imagine. Not being able to tell whether you're following the left-hand path or the right-hand path at any given point can be rather confusing, not to mention rather hair-raising for anyone in the passenger seat. So knowing which direction you're going in is fairly important, so we're going to deal a bit with the subject of direction in this episode. While we're on that subject, for the benefit of left-handed users, I'm just going to mention that, of course, left click means the inside mouse button, which will be on your right, and we use that for getting things, and then the right click is the outside mouse button, which is used for placing things, and then you can sometimes middle click, which is the scroll wheel. Now if you're using a handheld device with one of these sort of newfangled touch screens, I'm afraid you're going to have to get one of my younger apprentices to give you help on that, because I'm an old wizard and I do not understand such things. Anyway, as you can see, Noob's made great progress with building the farmhouse. We've got the framework in place and some nice walls there. So all it really now needs is a roof and some furniture. So, over to Noob. Hello Noob. That's a fine house you've got going there. Right, shall we get the roof on? Excellent. So, there's a couple of things I noticed from last time. Some of these blocks aren't quite lined up the right way. Now we could demolish them and try and put them back in the right way around, but there is another way we can do this. We go to the inventory, we'll see crafting guide, got a screwdriver, and this you make with one steel ingot and a stick, so that's quite simple to make, and we've got those in our inventory, so I can just click to craft grid, and there we have a screwdriver. Now screwdrivers have two different functions. You can right click, outside click, or left click them normally. Now the it's actually best to try the outside click version first, which will rotate it through the 6 directions. It's a cube, it's got 6 faces, so it'll rotate each of those 6 faces to face you. The left click button, the inside button, then rotates that face round the 4 directions. So there are 4 different choices on the left click and 6 choices on the right click. I usually try the right click first, because it'll line up the rest of the block the right way more likely. So if we click on that, you see it changes. Not quite right yet. No, none of those options seem to work, so let's go back to where we were and let's try left clicking it to, there we go. That's one on the other side isn't lined up right. Now that looks much better. So that was a question of left clicking. Now these blocks here, you see they're not the same way up as the logs in the rest of the thing, so I'm going to right click them, and I think the one right click seems to have sorted that out, and then they're facing in the opposite direction. Now I like that a bit better. I think that's a bit neater. So today we're looking at making a roof. So if we go back into our inventory, we need to find some suitable material to make a roof out of. Now there's various bits of roofing materials here. We can make them out of clay. Let's have a look at the recipe for that. That's going to take 4 bricks, which we could cook in the furnace. We haven't actually got that much clay. We could make some stone slate out of cobble, or we've got plenty of cobble, or we can make shingles out of wood. We've got a bit of wood. I think we're going to make them out of cobble for now. So let's make them. We're going to get 2 slates for every 4 lumps of cobble we put in. Let's put at least 10 on the crafting grid, and that gives us 20 roof slates. I wonder if that's actually going to be enough. I've got a feeling it's not really, and I think we should make another 20 if we can. So let's do that, and we can stick them on top. 40 roof slates, that's a little bit more like it. Now also we're going to have to get up on the roof. We're going to try and do a sort of fairly realistic looking roof. Now I want something from the trunk. I'm going to get these reed blocks and maybe the twig blocks just in case, and I'm going to use them to create a bit of a structure. I'll get that timber blocks out of the way. Let's start with the reeds and see how far we get with those. I think we might be able to do it all with reeds, and I'm just going to fill in the spaces here. In fact, it's the sides more than anything else that need filling in. Okay, I've only got 6 left there, so I think I'll do the rest of this. Now this is going to be fun, because I'm going to have to sneak off backwards and try and get them down at that level there. Whoops, that wasn't right. Now watch me fall off as I do this. I might make it. Now this all looks terribly complex, doesn't it? Hopefully this will make some sense before long. I can stand on there, and I'm going to do the same on the other side, although I think this tree is going to get in the way. Let's see how we do. Yeah, this tree is definitely going to get in the way. We could probably do this from the ground. So let's... Whoops. Injured myself slightly there. Yeah, look, we can do this from the ground quite happily. And I'm going to stick an extra one out here. And same goes for this. And on the other side. And it doesn't really matter what you use for this. You could use a bit of dirt, because I've only got... It's all going to be a bit odd, but we're basically using this as scaffolding. So we've got the scaffolding in place. The next thing is to make some sloping blocks, which we can do. We're going to need I think we're going to make nearly all of this out of sloping blocks. So we can make slopes. They're not really in the craft guide, but by placing 3 nodes in a diagonal like that, we get about 60 diagonal roof slates, so that's quite good value. And we're now going to go up on the roof. Oops, we seem to have slightly done ourselves in. Let's hope I've got enough of these. Well, we can always make some more. So I'm going to put a central pole in like this. I might just one need just one more. Oh, I've got an idea of actually how we could do it, a nice stylistic way we could deal with that maybe. So then the slopes. Now the slopes are incredibly directional blocks, very similar to the timber framed nodes. These are specifically shaped blocks which will face in different directions according to which way you are facing when you place them. So this, if I place it facing this way on a top of another node, it'll go down a nice slope like that. If I place it on the side of a node, we'll get a completely different shape there. And also, if I was to place it from a different direction, like this. Oh, I'm still technically standing on that node, so I can't do that. Place it from a different. You see, there's all sorts of different possibilities for getting this horribly wrong. I mean, no, too close. There we go. We can actually get that at a different angle, because sometimes it's quite difficult getting the right angle, so we're not going to do too much of that sort of thing. So just to finish off these end pieces, and I think I'm going to make them the same. So we want to put a normal slope there, and then we want to make a sort of corner piece. Now we can make corner pieces by, oh, we need some more slates. Okay, well, I remember the recipe was a diamond shape like that, so we can make two more things there, and then that will give us a flat sort of triangular corner, and that will give us a sticky out corner, and it'll actually give us 6 corners, which is quite generous. So and then we've got to work out, because this gets incredibly directional, we've got to work out the best direction to actually put them in on. I think it's this way. Yep. So because if we face in the completely opposite direction, that corner goes out the wrong way, so we have to put it in facing this direction. As you can see, it's not that easy to get it right. And I mean, what we could do, we could decide that this is all too much trouble really, and we could put them down and use a screwdriver. There we go, that's got that one. And so the same sort of basic rule applies, and there we go, that's quite a nice little roof thing. The chimney, I think, needs to come up a little bit higher. It's a bit low for a chimney really. Get rid of that tree. Maybe one more above. I think that'll do. Let's have have a look. Ah, well, that's looking quite house-like. We can probably get rid of the bit underneath it now. I've got an axe. An axe should make this a lot easier. Dear, it's got dark. Now we're running out of slope pieces here. Let me see, we can probably, yeah, we're going to need a couple more slope pieces, which means we need some more slates. Okay. See how many we can get out of that. It's only going to give us, okay, so we'll get 6 more slopes. Let's hope that's enough. I'm just going to take those out. So as I say, the way the slopes go does depend very much on the way you're facing, and we can use that to get some very nice effects. And there we go. Got a roof that actually looks quite a lot like a real roof. Hopefully we've just got just enough slopey pieces to do the same on this side. Ah. Yeah. And there you have it. A lovely roof. Time to get inside. And I think the first thing we need to do now is make a door so the monsters can't get in, and probably light some candles. Or maybe, even better than that, we should light a fire. Why don't we do that? So we've got a lovely little fireplace there, although I think it needs a bit more of a... could do with a bit more stone around it, couldn't it? So, we've nearly run out of cobble. Oh dear. Wonder what we can, if there's any other stone. We might have some other stone we could use. Oh look, now we've got some stone that we made earlier in the furnace. That's handy. Now with that we could make some stone tiles, which I think are here. What does that take? That's going to take 9 bits of stone in order to make 6 tiles. Okay, well we can afford to make one of those, can't we? So there we go, 6 tiles, and that should be just enough to make a nice little fireplace here. Let's put one there and take these bits of wood out. Right, let's make a nice warm fire, and that takes 3 sticks and something we can use as a bit of kindling, which the easiest thing to do is some coal, and we get that funny lump in the inventory, but if we place it down, lovely, a nice warm fire. So we need to make some windows and possibly a little bit more furniture. Let's do the windows first. In fact, we might as well turn that all into glass. Okay, while that's doing, let's make a bit of furniture. So if we look in the crafting guide again, we will see that there's quite a few opportunities for making furniture. Comes after fences and furnaces. Table we can make with a wooden panel and a bit of fence. So how do we make a wooden panel? We make a wooden panel with 4 blocks. We make 10 wooden panels with 4 blocks. We can definitely afford that. So let's do that, and then we could make a table, and somewhere around here there's a bench. We need more fences in order to make a bench. Let's see what that needs. Okay, let's make 2 bits of fence, and we go back to the bench recipe, and we should be able to make that. Okay, so we've got a table and a bench. I don't think we can make a bed yet. Let's have a look at the bed recipe. Now for the bed we're going to need some wool. Now we haven't got into wool. We can make some fabric out of plant fibre, and we can make plant fibre out of possibly some sheaves of straw, or well, this G says it's a group, so that could group leaves, so that might actually be any sort of leaves. We might be able to make plant fibre out of leaves. That's an interesting possibility, which we will look into in a bit. Let's see, we've got our glass now, so let's put some windows in, and there we go. And let's put the table there, and a bench next to the fire. There, lovely. So that's starting to look like a relatively cosy home. So let's just make some finishing touches to the outside of the house. First I want to make some steps up to this door, because it's a bit difficult jumping up every time. So we learnt that we can make more stone tiles with stone like that, with 9 pieces of stone. And then with the stone tiles, this is a common recipe for most block shaped nodes. If we put 3 of them in a row like that, we can get stone slabs which are kind of half of a node, and that means we can then make a little step up to the door. That's very nice, we can get in and out, and maybe we could plant something across the front here to make that look a little bit more homely. We've got some sunflowers which we could oh, these are directional as well, so it'd be nice to have them all facing in the same direction. And there we go. There's our farmhouse pretty much completed. So the next thing to do is to prepare some ground and plant some crops. We've seen how to create sloped pieces and slabs. There's actually a whole range of recipes that I want to show you before we go. You saw how to make slopes by putting 3 in a diagonal like that. But we can also make corner pieces like that. That makes a sort of flat slope corner, and that makes a rather more pointy stone corner. And then we can also make inside corners with a few more pieces. That'll make a kind of a valley shaped corner, and that gives you a different kind of flat corner that goes with the other flat corners, so you can make diagonal slopes. So they're very, very flexible. And of course the other standard recipes which aren't in the crafting guide are 3 in a row like that. Will make stone brick slabs. And then of course if you want to make stairs, you can put 6 nodes, 6 blocks in a pattern like that, in a stair shaped pattern, and it'll also work if you do it backwards, and that will make you stairs that you can run up and down. So none of those recipes are in the crafting guide, but you can use them on nearly all of the sort of cube shaped nodes. There are a few exceptions. The slope nodes are very, very directional, as we talked about, and we wizards hold the 4 or 6 directions depending on which way you want to count them. In great reverence, the spellcasting tomes speak of the 3 great axes X, Y and Z, within whose mystic bounds every action is performed, even magical ones. So to clarify, because we talked about if you press F5 you get these this bit of information we see in the sky. So that position in brackets, you can see I'm standing at X is the first. These 3 numbers on the bottom line, the second line, the first 3 numbers are X, Y and Z. So my X position is minus 141, which means I'm 141 meters or yards west, because that's the easting. The Y position is my height above sea level, 68 meters, or you could think of them as yards if you prefer, and 2.1 meters north, so that's my northing, that's Z. So that covers that. Every node or building block is considered to be approximately a cubic meter in size, so 1,000 nodes is 1 kilometer, roughly speaking. Naturally, here in Grailtest we use a medieval measurement system, rather like the Americans, where each node is a cubic yard, so 1,600 nodes is about a mile, and everyone's feet are completely different. The Grailtest world could possibly extend 10 miles in every direction and 10 miles down into the ground, and if you could fly, presumably 10 miles high. Well, that's about it then. We'll see you next time for some farming fun. Have fun.